You know, I gotta tell you, looking back on it all now from my cozy little porch here in Willow Creek, Montana, with the sun dipping low over those rolling hills, it's hard to believe how one stormy night in the summer of 2018 flipped my whole world upside down. I was just a regular guy, Tom Riley, working a dead-end job at the local mill, feeling like life was one big fog I couldn't shake, when suddenly this deep, nagging pull inside me turned into a full-blown crisis that made me question everything I'd ever known. I'd always felt a bit out of place, you see, like when my buddies were out chasing tail or drowning sorrows at the bar after a long shift. I'd be the one staring at the stars, wondering if there was more to this grind than paying bills and fading away. But that night, after a brutal argument with my ex, Lisa, who slammed the door shouting, "You're nothing but a dreamer, Tom. Wake up and get real," I hit rock bottom, alone in that creaky old trailer, tears mixing with the rain pounding the roof, feeling utterly forgotten, like God, if he even existed, had scribbled my name on some cosmic do not call list. It wasn't just the breakup, though that stung like hell. It was years of piling up the factory layoffs that left me scraping by, the whispers from folks in town calling me that odd one because I skipped poker nights to volunteer at the shelter, and this quiet voice inside that kept tugging me away from the crowd, making me resist the easy path. But I pushed it down, thinking it was just anxiety or some leftover from my rough childhood with a dad who drank his demons away. I tried to ignore it all, bury myself in work and Netflix marathons. But the more I resisted, the stronger that inner storm grew, like an unseen hand yanking me back every time I tried to blend in. And soon enough, the rejections piled on, doors slamming shut on job promotions because you're not a team player, Tom, or friends drifting away, saying I was too intense, too wrapped up in what-ifs about life and purpose. Those sleepless nights were the worst, tossing in bed with questions hammering my brain. Why me? Why this constant ache? This feeling like I'm meant for something but can't grasp it? And it built up to a breaking point where I almost gave in, almost called Lisa back just to feel normal again. But deep down I knew it was carving me, toughening me up for something I couldn't see yet, like a chisel in the hands of some master sculptor who saw potential in my mess. Then came the turning point. Unexpected as a lightning bolt, I stumbled into this old church on the edge of town during a downpour, not for faith or anything, just to get dry. And there was this elderly pastor, Reverend Hale, sitting alone in the pews, his face weathered like the Montana Badlands. And he looked up with eyes that seemed to see right through me, saying softly, "Son, you look like you've been fighting a war nobody else sees." And I spilled it all, the doubts, the isolation, the pull I couldn't name, expecting him to laugh it off. But instead he nodded, pulling out this worn Bible, sharing about a guy named Daniel who'd been ripped from his home, thrown into a lion's den for staying true, yet came out unscathed because his light couldn't be touched. And in that moment, it hit me like a freight train that my hidden seasons, those long waits where nothing made sense, were no accident, they were strategy, like seeds growing in the dark before bursting through. From there, I started digging in, not with grand gestures but quiet steps, reading that book late into the night by flashlight, whispering prayers that felt awkward at first, like talking to an empty room. But slowly the fog lifted, and I realized my scars weren't defeats, they were badges, proof I'd survived fires that would have broken others. And that weight I carried wasn't a curse, it was a mantle, a calling to lead, to shine where shadows clung tight. But oh man, the resistance kicked in hard. Old friends mocking me at the mill. "Tom's gone holy roller now, huh?" With sneers that cut deep. And even my brother, Jake, cornering me one evening in the garage, his voice laced with sarcasm. "You think you're some chosen one? Wake up, bro, life's about surviving, not saving the world." And I felt that old doubt creep back, the enemy whispering lies like, "You're a fraud, too broken to matter." But I pushed back, standing my ground in ways I never had, like when I organized a small group at the shelter for folks down on their luck, sharing my story raw and real, and watching eyes light up as they saw their own pain reflected, realizing they weren't alone. It escalated when the town faced a crisis, that big flood in 19 washing out homes, including the mill owner's fancy estate. And while everyone panicked, I felt this fire ignite, organizing relief efforts, rallying volunteers, even confronting the mayor at a heated town hall. my voice steady despite the butterflies. We've got to help everyone, not just the big shots. That's what community means. And he shot back, red-faced and furious. Who are you to lecture me, Riley? Stay in your lane. But I held firm, quoting that old proverb about the righteous path shining brighter, and to my shock, folks started nodding, clapping even, the room shifting as my words cut through the chaos like a beacon. That fire in my bones, man, it wouldn't quit. It burned away the fears, the what-ifs, turning me from a survivor into someone who could lift others, like when I pulled Jake aside after the flood, our boots sloshing in mud, and said, I get it, bro, life's heavy, but this pull? It's real. Join me. Let's build something better. And he paused, eyes misty, admitting his own hidden struggles with addiction, whispering, maybe you're onto something. And we hugged it out, brothers forging ahead. But the real climax came during that community rebuild event. Under a tent lit by string lights, rain pattering softly outside, I stood up, heart pounding, sharing my whole messy journey, the lows, the doubts, the light that broke through. And as I spoke, the crowd hushed, then erupted, people coming forward with tears, sharing their own chains. And in that electric moment, I saw it all click, chains snapping like in some epic movie scene, folks embracing, laughing through sobs, the air thick with hope as Reverend Hale nodded from the back, his grin saying, see, you were made for this. And I felt this rush, this divine confirmation, like heaven itself was singing, my once broken life now a bridge for others to cross into freedom. Yet here's the part that still twists me up inside, leaves me pondering late at night with a cup of black coffee. Sure, I stepped into that light, led folks out of their darkness, but was it all grace, or did I push too hard sometimes? Like when I called out the mayor publicly, humiliating him in front of his cronies, born from my own pin-up anger at feeling overlooked for years? He ended up resigning quietly, moving away, and while the town healed stronger, I wonder if my fire scorched more than it warmed, if justice always feels this bittersweet, like victory with a side of regret, because real life ain't a tidy script, it's messy, with shades of gray where right and wrong blur in the rear view. And that's what keeps me humble now, tending my small garden here in Willow Creek, sharing stories like this, knowing my mantle's heavy but worth it, yet questioning if leading always means leaving some wreckage behind. So, what about you? Have you ever felt that pull, that fire you couldn't ignore, and did standing up cost you more than you bargained for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share if you think I was right to fight back or if I crossed a line. Let's unpack these community tangles together, because hashing out justice and calling might just spark something in someone else. Like if this resonates, subscribe for more real talk tales, and I'll catch you next time.